Good morning. It is just after 4:30, Saturday, June 7th, and today I am setting out to hopefully run 100 kilometers. So this race for today, the Great Divide 100K, this has been on my plan since about January or February, and it falls 6 weeks before my very first 100 miler taking place in July. So today is really just like a dress rehearsal, test run of my gear, my nutrition, how my legs feel with that sort of mileage on them, and hopefully we'll kind of get into a little bit of a tough mental space to just kind of test to see where my mental fortitude is currently standing with a big mileage day. In regards to today's course, like I said, it's 100K, so about 62 miles. Over that 62 miles, we are looking at about 8,200 feet of elevation gain, and the course itself sits at an average of 9,500 feet. So good altitude for the day, not anything too crazy. Elevation gain, not anything too crazy. And from what I've read, there should be some nice smooth single track waiting out there for me today. So as far as the course goes, what's interesting is we are going to be repeating a 15.25 mile loop 4 times. And from what I gather, it seems like we'll kind of change direction every other loop, every other loop. So we'll see what each loop has in store, but it does seem like there's about 2,200 feet of climbing in every loop. So like I said, we'll see what the day has in store. Name of the game for the day is to just really be steady, go out there, test my nutrition, test my mind, and see how my body responds to a big day like today. The intention isn't really to race. It's, like I said, to just see where we're at with things and to be able to make modifications, take some mental notes, and see what we can kind of improve upon over the next 4 weeks of training before I start my taper for the Highlands and 100. So I'm excited. It should be a good day. My brain has not processed the fact that we're going to be running 62 miles today, or at least attempting to run 62 miles today. So yeah, as far as my outfit goes, I do have to give a shout out to Jonji. This has become my trusted race outfit. I have on top the Jonji Sun Chaser hoodie. I love this for race day, especially for races at altitude, because it alleviates the need to even consider or think about applying sunscreen on my upper extremities, as this has UPF 50. Additionally, it also is great for wetting any sleeves if it's hot out. Secondary to that, I have on the Jonji multi-short, and I love these. They're perforated, so they're super breathable. They also have great pockets in the waistband, so you can shove some extra gels, chapstick, sunscreen, AirPods, what have you. So it's just makes for a really comfortable day, really breathable. And when you're out there racing and you have big miles and you're out there for hours, it's just nice to feel really comfortable. So if you care to check out any of today's Jonji apparel, click the link in the description. Use my code Mountain High Life for 10% off your order. So thank you so much to Jonji for partnering with me, believing in my channel, and making the best running apparel. So for nutrition today, I'm kind of just doing my basics. I have some Science and Sport gels, Honey Stinger gels, Stroop waffles, Precision chews, as well as some Tailwind. My objective is to take or get some sort of like gel chew bar down every 30 minutes, while also consuming Tailwind just as I run, and some water. Since this is a looped course, there's 2 primary aid stations. I will have a drop bag at the start finish line, and I've kind of portioned out different nutrition based on the loop number and kind of what I might be interested in for, let's say, a hotter point in the day, or for that final loop when it might start cooling off later in the day. So I'm feeling pretty excited, a little nervous now that it's time to actually get going, but should be about mid to upper 60s today, so great running weather. We'll see what we've got out there. It's a small women's field. Not too sure what to expect for the day, but I'm just not even going to think about it. We are going to get on the road, drink some electrolytes, and set off for a good long day on our feet. Okay, just did packet pickup. I am bib number 108. Solid number. So what's really nice is this event is super chill, so I can actually come back to my car for the aid station. So I don't even need to do a drop bag, but it is nice that I do have all of my nutrition organized, ready to go. But that's like such a huge relief. Yeah, what a huge like I don't know, that feels really good knowing that. So I can just kind of leave some stuff at the car and not have to like put it somewhere. So I can even change my shoes early. It's looking a little wet out here. It's about 5:40, so I'm gonna get my shoes on, pack on, and just kind of organize my stuff, and we'll get this day going here soon. Stoked. This is gonna be so fun. This is gonna be awesome. I'm so tired. Less than 4 hours of sleep. And what would any race be without a little glitter, you know? We're about 3 miles in, just holding a good steady pace. I feel like I found a good rhythm, so just trying to take it easy, not let the ego get too loud in my head. Seems like it's going to be a great course, a lot of it through the woods so far, so nice and shaded. For this loop, it starts out with a good downhill, which means for the final loop, and the final little bit of this race will be up, which is always fun. So keeping that in mind, I'm hoping to save some legs for a good, strong fourth lap. So trying to be conservative on the uphill, chill on the downhill, and just warm up, get some nutrition in, and enjoy a really beautiful day. Gel of the day going in. 5 miles in, 1 hour down. Science and Sport Go Energy, salted strawberry. Cheers. Just made it through the first aid station. About 6.5 miles in, 1,100 feet of climbing. Now we start kind of like a loop within the big loop. But I didn't grab anything from the aid station. Not yet. Perhaps when we go back to that aid station after we complete this loop, I'll grab maybe some real food. It smelled really good. So I'm just gonna kind of stick with my gels and gummies for now, as well as my Tailwind. And this race has Tailwind as their nutrition sponsor, which is so awesome. So yes, I can tell we've climbed, but for the most part, it's been just very casual climbing. Nothing super, like, none of these trails are technical, which I really enjoy. So you can just kind of cruise up and down, but trail just kind of undulates. So I'm curious to see if we run into a big climb or if it's just kind of like these casual little rollers. Well, I guess when we started, there was that big descent, but I don't know, sometimes descents feel bigger than they actually are. I'm rambling. Okay, feeling good. I'm just gonna keep checking in, let you guys know how we're doing. Through the second aid station, right around 11 miles. Really flowy, chill trail, chill climbs, chill descents. So we got the fueling still going in. So we'll just see what the day has in store, but hammy feels a little, so we'll see. Rocking and rolling, 11 miles in. Only 51 more to go. Number 2, 16.75 miles, 2,800 feet of climbing. Feeling pretty good. At the aid station, I put on some sunscreen, refilled 1 bottle of Tailwind. The aid station had Mandarin, so I'm trying that. It's pretty good.
and then got some water, and while I was there I grabbed a glass of Coke and peanut M&Ms, and then I threw a lot of gels and shoes in my vest because I have a feeling it's going to get warm on this lap. Also some extra tailwind to throw in a bottle in case I don't like the flavor at the aid station. But hopefully I can get real food down. And if not, we're just going to keep the nutrition going. So feeling good. So starting to bump into a lot of the 50K crowd that's out today. So just a lot of good, fun, positive energy right now. And I love it. I'm feeding off of it. Okay, just about 24 miles in. 3,800 feet of elevation gain. Getting warm, but I don't think it's going to get much hotter than it is now. Legs are feeling it, but I think if I can just stay steady, stay where I'm at as far as like pace and mindset, we'll have a great day. We should be rolling into an aid station here soon-ish, but I'm going to get another gel down, trying to keep the fueling going, keep the legs feeling good and fresh, and yeah, hopefully we'll get to that aid station soon because I could use some, I just want some food, you know? I put chips in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and it is so good. Have like a little descent right now, and if I'm being honest, my legs feel it for sure. I tried to be very conservative on the descent, so I did take the poles out just to try to help conserve some leg, but everything is fine. Just keep fueling and drinking, and we're gonna get this done. So yeah, onward and downward for now. We got loop number 3 underway, and we're about 31 miles in, 5,200 feet of climbing. We're going clockwise again the way we started. At the aid station, I grabbed some watermelon, peanut M&Ms. They're so good. The crunch is good. Definitely easier going out counterclockwise, a little less climbing. So I think I'll be able to hopefully do a little recovery out on this lap, save some leg, and then hopefully have some leg for that last loop. So just gonna keep fueling, taking it easy, and having a good time. "38 miles in, 6,300 feet of climbing, and I just made it through the 7th aid station, so we're about halfway through loop number 3. Legs are definitely starting to feel it, but I'm hiking a lot of the climbs right now and using my poles for a lot of the descents. I'm just trying to conserve and do what I can to recover on this lap, just because I would love to feel decent-ish going into that last lap. Aid station favorites are gummies, like Mott's and Welch's. And the soda today is just, it slaps. It's so good. Got my sleeves wet at the aid station. Have some raspberry tailwind, which is caffeinated. I'm needing it right now. And then just some good old water. Grab some gummies. So glad they have a tailwind at this race. It makes it really easy for me. That's what I've been training with. But it's pretty hot out. Just keeping the fluid going and trying to do my best with eating. So I'm gonna eat some more now. We keep on moving. Miles and 7,200 feet of climbing. It's about 3:30. I feel pretty good. I think I've done a good job today. But I'm forcing some nutrition down. It's just hot. So I just don't want to eat and I'm thirsty, and everything, my bag, my poles, my hands, it's all just so, it's so sticky and gross. So it's just making me mad. But honestly, otherwise I feel good. I'm getting a Science and Sport salted strawberry down. Just trying to push nutrition. So, and we should be coming into the start finish here in another 1.5 miles or so. We flow, we fuel, we stay steady. We've begun the last loop. Got my Sour Patch Kids, drank some more Coke, changed my socks, lubed my toes. So hopefully we just feel good and we can just get this done. We'll see. We are 47 miles in, almost 48. Let's freaking do this.
Good job, babe. Good job, good job. Look, it's mom.
Is that 4?
That's 4.
That's 4. Let me get your medal.
That's a wrap. Good deal. She's like, Mom, holy hi.
How old's he or she?
Yeah, she, yeah.
How old is she?
8 months?
Yeah, 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
like, well, it's done and dusted.
It is done and dusted. We did it. 62 miles. That ended up being over 10,000 feet of elevation gains.
As usual, they lie a little
I
bit.
know. You know, just only like by 2,000 feet.
How do you think it was?
I don't think it was too bad. I think I had a good day and raced my race. I think fueling did pretty good. It did get pretty hot. I started to kind of mentally crash maybe around mile 52, but I just ate some nutrition, had some caffeine, and we came back to life. But I would say I don't know, everything kind of started to hurt by the end of the day, you know, like my feet started to hurt, my legs were really tired, but I think that's going to be really good practice for high lonesome. Hopefully we recover well, and yeah, so all in all, a good day. The feet are a little swollen, got a little rash going on, but so. Oh
gosh,
but
I'm fully tangled up. Oh gosh.
All in all, we did it. 100K done. Never thought I would ever do 100K as a training race. Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, it's a good training race for sure.
We did it. No crew, no pacers, just I. So here we are, 2 days post 100K, and I had to sit down and do a little recap, just talking about the race, some of my takeaways, some things I wanted to mention, what went well and what perhaps could use some improvement, and just how this plays into, you know, getting ready for my first 100-mile race. So unfortunately, my phone, I did not pay attention when I left the final start finish aid station, which was the livery aid station, that my phone was at like 6%, and I was hoping during that lap to use some music just to kind of carry me through, keep the energy up. And despite having a portable power source or like battery charger, I didn't bring a cord with me. I didn't put one in my bag, which was such a bummer, but it's all good. I left the livery aid station feeling pretty good, all things considered. However, similar to my experience at Never Summer, it was around mile 52, 54, where I just really started to have the day catch up with me. You know, all things considered, I was just feeling tired. I had slept for 3.5 hours the night before. I had been on my feet for 11 plus hours at that point. It was just a long day and I was just feeling fatigued. But I just, you know, when I did start to feel tired, I relied on my nutrition and I ended up having a precision chew bar, which is just a really easy way to get 60 grams of carbs in and over 200 calories, boom, just like that. And then I also took a caffeinated gel, and I think those two things in conjunction gave me a little bit more gusto to get to the finish line. And it was really nice because despite not having crew or pacers for this race, I knew my fiance Chandler and our puppy Lottie, they were going to be waiting for me at the finish line. And in my mind, that was just a huge motivator to keep fueling and trying to show up to that finish line as strong as I possibly could. So all in all, the Great Divide 100K, I wrapped up with just over 62 miles on my legs. It took me 13 hours, 45 minutes for an average pace of
13 minutes, 11 seconds per mile. And then there was about 10,282 feet of elevation gain. So it ended up being about 2,000 feet additional from what was listed on the website. But to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad. I don't know. I'm getting to a point in my training where like more vert is welcomed. So I walked away from that feeling pretty good. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna walk away from a 62-mile run and just be like, yeah, that was easy. I feel great. Waking up today, Monday, 2 days later, I feel like 85% back to normal. Still not gonna go for a run. The plan for this week is to just kind of take it easy, allow my body to rest, nap, recover. If I feel up for a run, I will go for a run, but I am not forcing anything. I'm focusing heavily on recovery and resting in order to give myself the best opportunity to walk into next week really strong, because starting next week, we have about 3 solid weeks of training before the taper for the High Lonesome 100 starts. So really focusing on recovery at this point in time, or I guess for this week. All right, things that went well. So I think I did really good with fueling this effort. I did use a lot of my own fuel as far as like tailwind goes, as far as the chews and gels go. And I think I did a really good job of staying on top of getting fuel in. And I did actually use a lot of the food at the aid stations, which I think had I just, done a 50-miler self-supported effort, self-supported car aid station, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to test and try whole foods, or I say whole foods, but I guess real food from an aid station. And just moving through an aid station, like refilling your bottles and moving with perhaps a little bit more purpose and intention than I would if I was just kind of going out and doing an effort on my own. I think I did really well with that. And like I said, getting real food in. Second, I think my mental fortitude is just, it's in such a good place. I know I've been talking about it on the channel, like really trying to focus on keeping a good mindset and headspace during a lot of my long runs, and I would say I was incredibly successful with that. I knew at some point that I was probably going to run into a really kind of tough mental state when my body started to get tired and things started to fatigue. I knew it was going to get tough, but that's why I wanted to show up to this race, so I could just kind of kiss that dark headspace of like, this is hard, this hurts, but I have to keep going, and who am I when things get tough, and how am I gonna rally? And I think I did a really good job, but there was also so much good vibes from other runners. I had such good, just people to share time with, and even just like going out and doing those laps, being able to see other individuals running the 100K or the 100-mile and just like give them love, give them good vibes and support. It was just really motivating. So headspace, really stoked with where I'm at currently. And finally, I think I did a really good job pacing this effort. I started out very comfortable. I took a lot of the climbs, if it was something where I was like, I don't really feel I need to run this, I didn't. A huge thing for me too is it's sneaky, but if you're newer to ultras, pounding out the first few descents, it might feel really good initially, but in the back half of a big effort, it can be very difficult to make a comeback from a really hard descent. So I tried to just really take a lot of the descents earlier in the race, very casual, very easy. And the moment my legs started to feel fatigued, I whipped my poles out, and I think that was probably maybe at mile 28. I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna get the poles out, and I really think that helped conserve some of my legs for later in the race. So I was actually able to run some of the descents and ascents more than I was in Never Summer. And sure, no, I didn't have any high alpine climbs or like one steep 5,000 foot of elevation gain, like in, 3-mile climb. No, I didn't have that, but I do think, being mindful of my pacing and my energy reserves, I did a really good job there. Now, things that didn't go great. So this is very interesting. I wanted to test out the Salomon Advanced Skin 12, and I've worn this for a year and a half. However, at the beginning of the year, especially after Moab Red Hot, I noticed some chafing underneath my rib cage, kind of where the bottom of the vest closes together. The chafing that I experienced during this race was the worst I've ever had, and it was on my ribs where my ribs literally still feel bruised from that vest, and I thought that was very interesting. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's a women's vest, so I feel like the cut is perhaps a little bit different than the way the unisex vests fit, but I will not be wearing that vest for High Lonesome, so I'm glad I kind of realized that now versus during that 100-mile effort. I also think that not paying attention to my phone almost dying and having it almost die on me, is that a huge deal? No, but I do think that during High Lonesome, you know, being conscious of how much phone battery I have, how much my Garmin InReach battery has, but also my watch battery, because I know I'm going to be relying on my watch heavily for maps and directions, and you know, having that almost die during the race was a good wake-up call, like, oh whoa, we need to be on top of things and pay attention to battery life on different pieces of technology that I'm going to be carrying on me. And I think the final thing, I know I said I did really good with fueling, but I do want to mention, you know, knowing that I'm going to be kind of coming in, getting close to the finish line, I think it's very important to not neglect fueling despite being close to the finish line. Even if you're 3 miles out, take the gel, take the gummy. Don't be lackadaisical about it, because it can bite you. Just keep the fuel going no matter what. You're never too good to have a gel. All in all, I think this race was such a good practice run for everything I wanted to test for High Lonesome. I really wanted to test out my gear, what shoes I was gonna wear, how my legs feel, my nutrition strategy, my pacing strategy, and even just seeing how my legs and mind worked at 60 plus miles. So I'm really happy that I took the opportunity to do a true dress rehearsal test run for High Lonesome, so I'm able to iron out some of those kinks that I picked up on race day, and also to kind of have a good focal point for the next, like I mentioned, 3 weeks of training that I'm going to be doing before we begin the taper, which I can't even believe I'm saying that. Time is just flying by right now. But I do think it's really beneficial, like I mentioned, to be able to get into a race sort of feel and be in a race environment where there's a lot more energy and a lot more hype, and being able to pace yourself when, you know, there's kind of that like ego, no, inevitably, given the fact you're in a race, of like, oh my gosh, everybody's moving way faster than me. Should I be going faster? And knowing how to kind of control your mind in those instances. Again, moving through an aid station, filling up your bottles, using a drop bag, putting nutrition in your vest, eating real foods while you are out there on the course, and kind of like looking and knowing what might work well for you pulling from an aid station and what might not. I just think there's so many valuable things that you can get from doing a test race for your A race, and I definitely picked up on those this weekend. And truth be told, I really feel a huge amount of confidence walking away from this effort. For me personally, I feel my fitness is at a place where I can run a 100K, give myself a little downtime to recover and get back into training, and start next week ready to go. And I think that's all been very strategic with how I fuel said long run efforts, but also my recovery strategies, my lifting, which I've been doing so good with, but also, you know, just getting my body adapted to high mileage, high elevation gain weeks, which I'm so grateful for. And I really feel super strong walking away from this, but it makes me feel just really confident knowing that, one, I mentally am self-sufficient, and sure, I'm going to be doing 40 more miles than what I did this weekend, along with an extra 13,000 feet of elevation gain. Yes, it's going to be a different experience. The course did not mimic the High Lonesome course, but I do feel that, bearing all of that in mind, I have a lot of tools and resources in my belt to help me perform and strategize for High Lonesome better than I would have had I not taken the opportunity to run this race. And like I said, this really gave me the opportunity to see that when things get tough, I know I can mentally get myself through some hard moments. And is it probably going to feel a lot harder during High Lonesome? Yes, but I'm feeling more prepared and better prepared now more than ever to approach that start line here in less than 6 weeks. So huge shout out to Revenant Running for putting on such a great event. They have a really fun trail running series. Like I said, there was a 100 mile, 100K. Saturday they had a 25K. I think they also had a 50K. And then they had an overnight run, 25K. And then the next day they had another 50K and 25K. So a lot a lot of great trails and running to be had. I thought it was such a good event, really great small kind of race feel, but well organized. The aid stations were great, the volunteers were great, so huge shout out to Revenant Running. You should check out some of their events. I also want to say all the other runners that were out there, and I had a few people recognize me, and it was such a blast being able to say hi and have some people just, you know, like I said, say hi and just share a really good vibe. So if you were out there, great job. It was such a fun day, and I hope you were able to enjoy yourself. You are all so amazing. So thank you for sharing a good vibe and just being awesome, positive energy and contributing something really meaningful to the community. Thank you again to John G for partnering with me and giving me just the most comfortable race apparel there is out there. Don't forget to click the link in the description so you can check out a Sunchaser hoodie or the multi-short for yourself. It's just so awesome. I can promise you, you will feel so comfortable on race day in any of John G's apparel. And so that's gonna do it. I really cannot believe we are less than 6 weeks out from High Lonesome, and it's time to really hunker down and make the next few weeks count. But I'm feeling excited and motivated, and I am super stoked to share the next few weeks with you leading up to this 100-mile race. So if you care to follow along, perhaps subscribe. I also have my Strava and Instagram link down below if you care to follow me over there. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I would love to hear from you guys how close we're getting to your A race, or if you participated in any events recently, leave it in the comments down below. I know I've been slow to respond to comments lately, so I'm so sorry. I've just been really busy, and if I'm not running, I'm working on editing a video, and if I'm not editing a video, I'm doing strength training. If I'm not strength training, I'm sleeping or I'm walking my dog. So I'm so sorry. It's just been a very busy time in my life, but I really appreciate you. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you get out on some trail today, and I will see you in my next adventure. Bye.